Studio lights blazed down on the iconic Loose Women set, a pastel-hued haven of gossip, laughter, and occasional chaos. The audience buzzed with anticipation as the host, Charlene White, introduced the day's special guest, Gary Oldman, the Oscar-winning chameleon of cinema, known for roles from Sid Vicious to Winston Churchill. His latest film, a gritty crime drama, had critics raving, and the panel Denise Welch, Nadia Sawalha, Jane Moore, and Kel Brianna were ready to grill him, or so they thought. Gary strode onto the set, his lean frame clad in a sharp black suit, his piercing eyes scanning the room. At 67, he carried the gravitas of a man who'd seen it all, from Hollywood's glitz to the underbelly of punk rock. The audience erupted in applause, but Gary's smile was tight, almost wary. He settled into the guest chair, microphone clipped to his lapel, and nodded politely as Charlene kicked off the segment. Gary, welcome to Loose Women. Your new film is getting incredible reviews. Tell us, how do you get into the headspace of such dark characters? Charlene asked, her tone warm but professional. Gary leaned forward, his voice low and deliberate. It's about truth, isn't it? You dig into the ugliness, the flaws, the things people don't want to admit about themselves. That's where the real stories are. The panel nodded, but Denise Welch, never one to shy away from a bold opinion, jumped in. I love that, Gary, but don't you ever worry about glamorizing violence? I mean, your character in this film, he's a monster, but the camera loves him. Isn't that dangerous? The audience murmured. Gary's eyes narrowed, just a fraction. Dangerous? He repeated, his tone measured but edged. Art isn't about sanitizing life, Denise. It's about holding a mirror up. If people see themselves in a monster, maybe that's the point. Denise, undeterred, leaned forward, her blonde hair catching the studio lights. But Gary, come on. You're not just holding a mirror, or you're selling tickets. There's a responsibility there, especially with young fans. Don't you think? The air in the studio shifted. Nadia tried to interject with a light-hearted comment about Gary's method acting, but Denise wasn't done. I'm just saying, as a mother, I'd be worried about my kids watching this and thinking that kind of life is cool. Gary's jaw tightened. With respect, Denise, I'm not making films for kids. And I'm certainly not telling anyone how to live. If you're looking for a babysitter, maybe Trike BBs. The audience gasped, then tittered. Charlene's eyes widened, but before she could steer the conversation, Denise fired back. Oh, that's rich, coming from someone who played a punk icon trashing hotels. Don't lecture me about responsibility, Gary. The set erupted. Jane Moore tried to laugh it off, but the tension was palpable. Gary leaned back, his voice dropping to a dangerous calm. You want to talk about my past? Fine. I lived it. I clawed my way out of nothing to tell stories that matter. What's your excuse for twisting my work into some moral panic? Denise's face flushed. Moral panic? I'm calling it like I see it. You're out here defending depravity and acting like you're above criticism. Depravity? Gary shot back, his voice rising for the first time. You're sitting there on a daytime talk show, picking fights for ratings, and you've got the nerve to call my work depraved. The audience was on edge now, some cheering, others whispering. Charlene raised her hands. Okay, let's take a breath. But Gary was done. He unclipped his microphone, stood up, and tossed it onto the chair. I didn't come here to be ambushed by self-righteous nonsense. I'm out. Denise stood too, pointing at him. Run away, then. Can't handle a real debate. Gary turned, his eyes blazing. Debate? This isn't a debate. This is a circus, and I'm not your clown. With that, he strode off the set, the audience parting like the Red Sea as he disappeared behind the curtains. The studio fell silent for a split second before erupting into chaos. Charlene scrambled to regain control, but the damage was done. Backstage, producers were in a frenzy, whispering about damage control. On set, Denise sat back down, defiant but shaken, while Nadia and Kel exchanged wide-eyed glances. By the time the show went to commercial, the internet was ablaze. Clips of the clash spread like wildfire across X, with #Gary vs Denise trending worldwide within minutes. Fans of Oldman praised his no-nonsense attitude, posting memes of him as Churchill staring down Denise. Others rallied behind Welch, calling her a queen for standing her ground. The Loose Women official account tried to spin it with a vague tweet about passionate discussions, but the replies were ruthless. Gary, meanwhile, was spotted leaving the ITV studios in a blacked-out car, his expression unreadable. By evening, he'd posted a single tweet from his rarely used account: "Art provokes. If you can't handle the heat, stay out of the conversation." #Truth. Denise, never one to back down, went live on Instagram that night, her living room dimly lit as she sipped wine. "Look, I stand by what I said. Gary's talented, but talent doesn't give you a free pass to dodge tough questions. If he can't take the heat, maybe he shouldn't do daytime TV." The backlash was immediate. Oldman's fans flooded her comments, accusing her of grandstanding. Loose Women viewers were split, with some calling for Denise's apology and others demanding Gary's return for a rematch. The Daily Mail ran a headline screaming, "Gary Oldman storms OFF Loose Women in epic row with Denise Welch." While The Guardian pondered the cultural clash between Hollywood's elite and British daytime TV. Behind the scenes, ITV executives were in crisis mode. Gary's abrupt exit violated the show's guest agreement, but his star power made punishment tricky. Whispers circulated that he'd been escorted out after refusing to return for the post-commercial segment. Denise, meanwhile, was unapologetic, telling producers she'd do it again if it meant sparking real conversation. Days later, the fallout continued. A petition to bring back Gary garnered 50,000 signatures, while a counter-petition defending Denise's bravery gained traction among her loyal fans. Talk show hosts from Good Morning Britain to The View weighed in, with Piers Morgan tweeting, "Gary Oldman eating Denise Welch for breakfast." Iconic. Gary, true to form, went silent, retreating to his London home to prep for his film's premiere. But the incident had cemented his legend. Paparazzi caught him days later, smirking as he dodged questions about the showdown. Denise, ever the firebrand, leaned into the drama, joking on Loose Women the next week about needing hazard pay for future guests. The clash became a cultural moment, a clash of titans that exposed the fault lines between art, accountability, and the spectacle of daytime TV. And somewhere, in a quiet editing suite, a producer was already cutting together a best of reel, knowing the ratings would soar.